Armed robbery of milk bars and service stations in Australia. Research Part 1. Robbery is an impact crime that occurs suddenly and leaves behind a trail of death, physical and psychological damage and suffering. An increase in the incidence of armed robbery in milk bars across Australia is a growing concern. When analysing the extent to which armed robbery of milk bars affect the community, it is clear that no one is immune. Males and females alike, young or old, rich or poor, we see patrons terrorised and workers slashed by crazed individuals. Contrastingly, although it is recognised that anyone can fall victim to armed robbery, recent crime statistics obtained by Victoria Police reveal that between 2013 and 2014, adult female victims of armed robbery, aged between 18 to 59, increased by 0.9%. The tragedy of armed robbery problem rests not only in the stolen money or goods, but in the human misery caused. The number of people shot or shot at, the number of people knifed, clubbed or otherwise assaulted, the number of people who have been terrorised to the extent of suffering psychic trauma and who will suffer thereafter for the rest of their lives. Research Part 2. When researching armed robbery in milk bars, it became apparent that there are a number of different trends to the crime. For example, in 1962, it was unknown for a service station to be held up at 3 o'clock in the morning because such places were never open at that time. In more recent times, it has become more common for offenders to target milk bars or service stations in an attempt to obtain money or goods, such as large amounts of cigarettes, which can be sold illegally for profit. Furthermore, weapons used in armed robberies have also differed throughout the years. The use of firearms, including imitation of firearms, has decreased by 5.2% since 2012. Knives have become the most common weapon used in armed robberies at 52.4%. Where crime is reported. There has been much media attention focused on the growing concern of armed robbery in milk bars across Australia. It is not uncommon that incidents are reported on television news channels or printed in newspapers in an attempt to warrant a number of outcomes, including informing the public of events occurring in the community to ensure awareness and prompt the implementation of protective safety measures, or to create publicity surrounding the offence in anticipation that somebody will recognise the offender and turn them in. Case studies: cash theft. Milk bars and petrol stations in Australia are commonly robbed in an attempt to obtain money. On March the 8th, 2016, a male offender entered a petrol station in Wyndham Vale and proceeded to browse the store for some 10 minutes. The offender then took a screwdriver set to the front counter and when asked for payment, produced a knife and demanded cash. The shop assistant opened the till and the offender stole a large quantity of cash before fleeing the store. Similarly, on February 2nd, 2016, a female and male entered a petrol station in Keilor and threatened the attendant with a handgun. The offender stole cash before riding off on a motorcycle. Case study: goods theft. Although money is a common loss in armed robbery of milk bars and petrol stations, there are also many other goods that offenders target. For example, in January of 2016, a masked man entered a service station of the Melton Highway in Hillside and threatened the attendant with a weapon demanding cigarettes. The offender then fled. Later that same day, two offenders smashed the front window of a female victim's motor vehicle and stole a beach bag containing cosmetics. Where cases can be viewed. It is clear that armed robbery occurs often in an attempt to obtain a variety of goods and money, Organisations such as Victims of Crime Compensation and Counselling Services have online spaces where individuals can report armed robbery and have their incident published to a blog. The blog contains hundreds of armed robbery cases, which have occurred throughout Victoria, and allow for members of the public to see what is occurring in their neighbourhood and in some instances report any valuable information they may have. Preventative considerations. There are a number of preventative considerations that could be implemented in an attempt to curb armed robbery. These include strategies such as special purpose units, divisions of organisations such as Victoria Police that are solely trained to deal with and are concerned with armed robbery. This would allow for the crime to be handled by specialised personnel who have expertise in the matter and simultaneously allow other divisions to focus on different areas of crime. Patrol and security. Increased security of targeted areas such as milk bars or petrol stations, particularly during times of high crime rate between 12 and 4 a.m. Similarly, police patrols motivating a strong police presence will deter offenders and disallow them the opportunistic movements to commit crimes. Weapon regulations. Tougher requirements regulating the obtainment of weapons such as knives. Implementations such as gun licenses should be administered to the purchase of other weapons which could cause harm, therefore making these items harder to acquire.